Banff Springs Hotel. One of the many Canadian architectural achievements, the Banff Springs Hotel is located in Banff, Alberta in the middle of the Rocky Mountains. It was built by the Canadian Pacific Railway as part of a series of hotels they constructed across Canada, and is built around some of the natural hot springs. The hotel is allegedly home to several spirits and further mysterious within. One famous spirit of the premises is that of the late bellman Sam, who reportedly threatened to haunt the place after his death. It appears Sam kept his promise, but has said to be a benevolent spirit. Guests have reported being helped to their rooms by an elderly Scottish gentleman, matching Sam's description. He also is said to randomly open and close the hotel doors, not to scare guests, but as his way of saying hello. By far the most famous ghost at Banff Springs is the Doomed Bride. Guests have claimed to see a woman in a bridal gown dancing in the main ballroom, but disappears upon further investigation. The hotel's main historian has stated the apparition is probably that of a woman who fell from the curved stone steps and died before her wedding banquet that day. Then there is the legend of the missing room 873. The legend goes a family was murdered in room 873 and the murderer was never caught. After the room was refurbished and bookings there recommenced, guests sleeping there would constantly report various disturbing incidents, claiming they heard hollow screams, lights flickering and turning on at random, and even bloody handprints on the mirror of the bathroom. As the legend goes, the hotel owners decided to stop booking out that room and instead had it drywalled over. To this day, hotel staff are forbidden to speak about the room, leading to the idea of room 873 existing to be a credible idea. In the Coronado. A true spectacle of the Pacific Coast, the Hotel del Coronado is located in San Diego, California, and is a magnificent resort for those who can round up the cash to stay there. Fans of classic Hollywood will recognize the Coronado as the main centerpiece of the film Some Like It Hot. However, there are stories of an unhappy spirit wandering the halls. Back on Thanksgiving Day 1982, 24-year-old Kate Morgan checked into the Coronado, claiming to be waiting for a young gentleman to join her. 5 days later, hotel staff discovered her dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to her head. Kate had been married but was estranged from her husband, so people believe she was making a liaison with her lover, but he had either been delayed, sidetracked, or simply stood her up, leaving her alone and unhappy. Guests who have stayed in Kate's room since have claimed the lights will flicker, the television turns itself on and off, an unexplained breeze will rush by them, and the temperature will suddenly get very cold without logical explanation. Guests have also seen a young woman walking around the halls, and their description matches those of Kate, leading people to believe she is still waiting for her lover to arrive and take her away. The gift shop has also reported strange occurrences, with products flying off the shelves but landing upright and unbroken. The Coronado remains a beautiful resort, and guests have stated the spirits are friendly, albeit a little mischievous. Roosevelt Hotel. Hollywood isn't always full of fame and glamour, but also of heartbreak, deceit, and even murder. The Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel is a historic building in the middle of Tinseltown, with its opening in 1927, the beginning of Hollywood's golden age, and since then has gained both a famous and infamous reputation, and is said to be the final residence of several stars of the big screen. Marilyn Monroe's ghost has been reportedly seen reflecting in the mirrors of the hotel's ballroom, and once guests turn to get a glance, she has vanished. Montgomery Clift stayed in room 928 during the filming of From Here to Eternity, and people have said they could hear a trumpet playing from the room, which Clift was talented at. Coal spots are also frequent around the building, particularly the ballroom. A man in a white suit has been seen playing the piano in the ballroom, and when guests approach to comment on his talented playing, he will vanish right before their eyes. The wife of Clark Gable, Carol Lombard, has also been spotted on the 12th floor, where she and Gable often stayed together. The most famous and mysterious spirit of the Roosevelt is that of the little girl named Caroline, who has been seen wearing a blue dress, ponytail, and skipping down the hallways and around the fountain in the main lobby. Because of the number of alleged Hollywood figures haunting the Roosevelt, tourists flock there to try to get a reservation, in the hopes of catching a glimpse of Marilyn or hear the soothing tune of Montgomery's trumpet. Brown Palace. Denver's most luxurious hotel, the Brown Palace, has stood for over a century and hasn't ever been closed for even a single day since its opening in 1892. Named for the builder Henry Cordes Brown, the Brown Palace has gained a reputation for being a high-class place for visitors, which includes celebrities and politicians, including several presidents. However, the palace has gained several spiritual residents over the many years of operation, gaining its notoriety as one of Denver's most haunted locations. Tours are offered of the hotel, and the famous story told by guides is that of the legend of room 904. Between 1940 and 1955, a wealthy socialite, Louise Crawford Hill, resided in the room until she died of heartbreak. The room underwent renovations after, but the main lobby would still receive phone calls coming from room 904, despite the room being unavailable to guests. On the other end of the line, the reception could only hear strange vibrations. In 1961, the calls ended as mysteriously as they began, coincidentally around the time tour guides stopped telling the story of Miss Hill. Many believe the calls were Miss Hill protesting her story being told, and her way of asking for her to be at peace in the room she continues to call her home. A former employee of the hotel claimed he heard strange noises coming from the main dining room. When he went to investigate, he found an entire string quartet practicing in the room. He confronted the band asking what they were doing, and they replied, "Don't worry, we live here." Furthermore, guests and staff have seen apparitions dressed in formal attire. However, the spirits do not appear to be malicious and simply wish to rest in peace within their favorite hotel in the Colorado capital. In the Ragged Cot. A place that appears frozen in time, the Ragged Cot Inn of Minchinhampton, UK, is itself a time capsule and resembling much of how it did back in its early days. The beginning of the inn's tragic history dates back to December 1760. Then landlord Bill Clavers prepared to rob a midnight stagecoach bound for London. His wife, with their child in hand, begged him not to go through with the crime, but in a fit of anger he pushed her aside, sending her flying down the stairs. In his drunken confusion, he fled the house and robbed the coach. Upon returning to the inn, he was horrified to discover his wife and child did not survive their plummet down the stairs. Panicked, Clavers hid the bodies in the trunk, then paced around the inn trying to think of what to do. Meanwhile, local constables followed Clavers' footsteps in the snow and surrounded the building. As they prepared to enter, they heard the scream of Clavers, who claimed to have seen the apparition of his wife crossing the upstairs doorway. Constables subdued Clavers and tied him to a chair as they searched the premises. Inside, they were horrified to come face to face with the apparition of Clavers' wife, and they fled the house. Finally, when sunrise broke, the constables continued their search and discovered the bodies of Clavers' wife and child. Now confirmed a guilty man, Clavers was tried and executed by hanging. Those staying at the inn are often told by locals about the sightings of the apparitions as they knock back drink after drink, and each has their own story to tell about the Ragged Cot Inn. The Queen Mary. For those wanting a unique hotel experience, they should seek out the Queen Mary. The Queen Mary Hotel was once a luxury cruise liner for the Cunard Line from 1936 until being retired in 1967. Since then, it has rested permanently in the Long Beach Harbor, acting as a hotel, restaurant, and museum. However, the ship is said to house the restless spirits of former crew and guests. During the Second World War, the Queen Mary was converted into a troop transport vessel. By the war's conclusion, the ship had transported over 800,000 troops to nearly every Allied campaign. After the Queen Mary transported thousands of war brides and war babies in what became known as the bride and baby voyages, the Queen Mary is said to be very haunted, as there were 49 reported deaths during its service from the horrors of the war. The infamous Door 13 crushed 2 men to death at different points of the cruise's operation. Spirits are often observed in the first and second class swimming pools, even though neither are no longer functioning and are used for different purposes. Ghosts are said to be seen swimming and splashing away in the water wearing 1930s swimwear. The Queen's Salon hosts the ghost of a beautiful young woman wearing a formal white evening gown, and she has been sighted dancing alone in the dark corner. The Queen Mary has become a landmark of Long Beach, and the spirits resting there have found themselves embedded within the floating treasure. The Empress Hotel. Those who visit Victoria, British Columbia agree the city is beautiful and rich with history and culture. The most prestiged hotel is by far the Empress Hotel, now operated by Fairmont. The hotel opened in 1908 and further extensions were added in 1909, 1914, and 1928. Of course, the hotel is also rumored to be haunted by various spirits who at one point stayed in one of the many rooms there. Several people have reported an apparition of a man with a thin mustache wandering the halls with a cane in hand. Historians believe this matches the description of Francis Rattenbury, the hotel's architect. There have also been reports of a mysterious little girl haunting the hotel, and she frequents the elevators as that's where the room she died in used to be. It was demolished in order to expand the number of elevators due to the hotel's increased popularity. Guests have complained of mysterious knocks on their doors, but no one being present upon investigation. Most agree the spirit is harmless and simply a child acting normally for her age, just wishing to play pranks and play with the guests. The Empress resident spirits seem to be harmless, with Rattenbury simply wishing to forever reside in his proudest achievement, and the little girl wanting to play and have a laugh by joking around with the guests and staff. Ross Castle. With a history as rich as Ireland's, it's no surprise the island will have its fair share of spirits. On top of its legends and mythical creatures, all around the small country are castles, embedding the history of struggle between the Irish people and the English rulers who constantly ravaged the lands. Ross Castle is one particular location, located along the shores of Loch Shalean. Ross Castle has become not only a historic landmark, but also a popular bed and breakfast. However, with the long history of conflict and turmoil, the castle has its share of spirits. The ghosts are said to be the victims of the notorious Richard Nugent, appropriately named the Black Baron. He once accused a beggar of having a dog steal bread, and had the beggar hung on the spot. A cross now stands where the gallows once were. Guests and staff speak on a ghostly figure riding a horse around the grounds, but he is said to be a sign of good fortune, and those who see him have had great luck placed upon them. Therefore, not all spirits within Ross Castle are malevolent, and guests have generally reported a peaceful stay while there, stating there was nothing too scary that would not make them wish to return.